Welcome back for the final installment of Grub Before Grad. This is our season 2 tier list where we're going to be running down all 12 restaurants that we went to this season. Like last time, there weren't any completely abysmal places. However, they did come close. We are still going to keep them at C tier minimum, working our way up to S tier. So with that out of the way, let's get started with our first restaurant. At the bottom of our list, we have Rombi's. Rombi's is supposed to have good wings. The whole point of going to Rombi's is because I saw that they had these famous smoked wings, and we went in there expecting famous smoked wings, and it wasn't high quality at all. They were small, and mine particularly were just burned and overcooked. Dry meat, not very good on the seasoning. It tended to be over salted, and it's just not something you expect from that kind of a place. Like if anything was going to be good, we wanted it to be the wings, and it just wasn't. And so we ultimately have to rank them 12th for this season. So moving on to 11th, right above Rombi's by just a tiny little bit, is the Feathery Pub. You know how we feel about the Feathery Pub. It was okay for a lot of the things, like the fish of the fish and chips particularly was fine. It was pretty good. It was a massive portion. We both brought some of it home because it was just way too much to finish in one go. And it was cooked properly, seasoned well. The appetizers were fine, like the pickles tasted good. French onion was okay, even though the cheese was not
melty,
the best.
Yeah.
But that cheesecake though. I feel like mentioning that alone is enough to justify why this would be 11th. It was just
not good.
It's by far the worst dish we ever had. Not just out of the desserts, it's just the worst dish that we had in this whole series. And for that alone, we can't put it higher. Like, I'm sorry. It's just, there are better restaurants that we went to. And the only thing that we could really remember about this place, despite it being a fish and chips place, is the cheesecake.
Oreo cheesecake will haunt my nightmares.
That's all for the C tiers, so let's move on to the B tiers where we have quite a few restaurants. Again, at our number 10 spot at the bottom of our B tier, we have Seoul Korean Cuisine. It was the first place we went to this season, and unlike Ma, it wasn't the best start to the season at all.
No.
We got a lot of dishes, so we got to try a ton of different Korean flavors, and for the most part, they like barely hit the mark, if at all. It was a lot of stuff, but most of them were pretty unimpressive. I would say the only bright spot, as I mentioned before back in that episode, was the dalgona milk tea, because it just brought something a little interesting texturally and flavor-wise to milk tea. So it was pretty cool, but since that was the only good thing, and this is without even mentioning the desserts, which we didn't really like either, and were also extremely overpriced, we're leaving it at the 10th spot on our list. So moving on to the 9th spot, right above Seoul, we have Odd Bar, the companion restaurant to Odd Bird that specialized in pizzas. Honestly, that episode was probably the most forgettable one for me. It was just pretty okay again.
Yeah, like nothing really stood out. The
buff gar parm,
it would either be just buff, just gar, or just parm. I never got a bite that was buff gar parm, and I think that's where it really missed the mark. I've had similar things to the Big Mac pizza at other pizza places that have done it better as well. So just for those reasons alone, you can't put it any higher on this list, unfortunately. I wouldn't say it was bad per se, but I'm not gonna be remembering Odd Bar anytime soon.
They have pretty innovative pizzas for sure, but those innovations weren't all necessarily good. As Shannon said, it's not a very remarkable place. They have decent pizzas and it's a good spot to go to with friends, but ultimately in terms of quality, can't really put it much higher. So 9th. With that out of the way, let's move on to number 8, Urban Cravings, the salad bar and healthy food place. In terms of serving good health food like salad, bowls, they got it. And they have so many options, and there are so many things you could customize in those dishes, and they're very affordable. But that's taking out the entire other section that we touched on when we were talking about it in our episode. So
the smoothies were just not good at all. There was no saving this episode because the smoothies existed. A smoothie should taste like what you put in it, not water and mass. It felt like I was just drinking thick water, which sounds horrible because it was horrible. All of our smoothies looked different, but they somehow all tasted the same. I don't know how that happens.
Work on those, you know? But for now, sticking them at our 8th spot. Moving on to the top of our B tier at number 7, we have Pho Nun. This place is a very, very average Vietnamese place. It does everything basically perfectly as you would expect it from any other Vietnamese restaurant. That's what Vivian said as well. There are some differences, like I think my pork chop was a bit bigger, a bit more flavorful, but ultimately it's not enough to make it rank so much higher than other Vietnamese places, even specifically in this area. So it's not bad, it's good. It's just, there's nothing super amazing that I would love to go back to that place for. They're very consistent and I appreciate that, but if we're doing a tier list, you have to have some kind of star, and they just didn't have that. And I would just like to point out that compared to the other entries in B, there is a pretty wide gap.
Yeah.
So just consider this B plus tier.
Yeah.
It's definitely pretty good. Now moving on to the A tier, which is actually bigger than our B tier, which is different from last time where we had more Bs than As. So that's pretty good. Starting off our A tier at rank 6, we have Blue Mermaid Seafood and Steakhouse. Coming into it, we were expecting a very fancy dinner. And given the pricing that they displayed on Google Maps, we were like, wow, this better be freaking good. It was a fancy place and you got all the service and pizzazz that you get from a fancy restaurant, but ultimately it's just not worth it.
No, definitely had the zhuzh to it, but once you take that away, it's just very expensive food. It's very hard to put it above any other restaurants that are also in A tier, but obviously it should not be hanging around Urban Cravings and Odd Bar in Seoul. My clam chowder was amazing. I know the lobster bisque was also really good.
Best soup ever, best appetizer ever actually.
Yeah. The baked Alaska, that was my first time having it. I would drink that too. Put it in a smoothie and give me a straw. So for those reasons, it's gonna be an A, but also the bottom of A, because while those were really good, it just costed way too much for what we were expecting.
When we try to rate these restaurants, it's like we gotta question the value to quality ratio.
Yeah.
And while this has good quality, that's what you expect when you pay that much for food. So we can't really be like, wow, this is the best thing because we paid for that. Like if you pay for Wagyu and the Wagyu tastes good, does it mean it's good food or did you just pay for the good experience? I don't know. It's okay. So now we're in the top 5. At rank 5, we have chocolates, etc.
Very good chocolates. They do what they do best. The hot chocolate, put it in a 4-liter jug, I'm drinking that. However, ice cream and cakes?
Yeah, chocolates, etc. kind of lives up to the name, you know?
Yeah.
They put a lot of emphasis on the chocolate and the etc. lumps in all of the other things. So yes, the hot chocolate, incredible. They said it was the best in St. Catharines. And
I believe it.
We definitely believe it despite not trying other hot chocolates besides maybe Tim Hortons or Starbucks. But as for the other things, the cakes, yes, and the ice cream, like we understand that the gelato is supposed to be served in those tubs, and that definitely would have made a world of difference if we went here in the summertime. But unfortunately, we have to rate by what we experienced, and what we experienced was pretty mediocre vanilla ice cream that was advertised as stracciatella. It was okay. The cakes were nothing special, but I mean, I don't really expect that much, especially when it's been sitting out for a while.
Yeah, I don't expect the cake to blow me away when I go eat it at like 4 p.m. Like that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and it is called chocolates, etc. So if their chocolates are good, it deserves a high rating, and therefore we have it as our number 5. With that, we're gonna move on to number 4 now. At number 4, we have Sunshine Eats, the Jamaican restaurant that just opened last year. We were looking around for different Jamaican spots, and this happened to be the closest one. And despite there being very few reviews at the time, we decided to check it out anyway. And at least for me, as someone who hasn't really tasted that much Jamaican food outside of Jamaican patties, I found the experience to be pretty good. Everything hit the mark. My curry goat was great, and the soda was great. I know that's not really their thing, but it was great. And then the Jamaican patty, the only thing that I really know, was amazing and amazingly cheap. And all those things combined make us put it at number 4. And the only reason it's not higher, in my opinion, is that we just didn't have enough of it. You know, if we had like 5 different dishes like we do with other places, if we could get like appetizer, dinner, dessert kind of stuff, that might have pushed it up a little bit more. But based on what we've experienced, it's really good. Just, we don't have enough data yet.
There's not enough data to be conclusive about whether it should be higher or not. Oh, well, my jerk chicken meal like was amazing, but that's all I had, right? Versus going to somewhere like chocolates where we get a whole bunch of different things. 12. And then we grade all of them, and then we also get the hot chocolate, we also get the cakes, we also get the gelato. So it's very hard to put this higher. Obviously, I love it, and I love Jamaican food so much, except for ackee, that's gross.
So basically hit the mark all around, but just can't be higher because we don't have enough evidence.
Yeah.
Thus, number 4. Moving on now to our top 3. Taking up the 3rd place, the bronze medal spot, we have Pinoy Grill and Restaurant. Shannon had his Jamaican restaurant, I had my Filipino restaurant. And despite this restaurant being the only one in in the entirety of St. Catharines, with the next closest one being in Niagara Falls, which is just boggling my mind.
Crazy.
But this place serves pretty authentic cuisine, and it's very good at that. Definitely reminded me of home, a lot of these dishes, and it's not just average stuff that I would see at typical Filipino parties. They definitely added a couple things here and there that elevated it to new levels. I would say that the only poor things or not as good things were the bangus, mostly because it wasn't as seasoned as I wanted it to be. Also the halo-halo, I think it was just a bit pricey, and it didn't use the same ingredients that you would see in a typical halo-halo, like the ube ice cream, the purple ice cream.
Yeah.
For the most part though, very good. You know, I love the lumpia. I love how much meat you get on the pork skewers. So for that, I would say it deserves number 3.
Just the fact alone that everything tasted authentic, everything tasted like it was made 10 minutes ago, just really sells its spot as number 3.
So Pinoy Grill, very solid, despite being the only one of its kind.
Yeah.
It's not upcharging you, it's not cheating you, it's good food for the
halo-halo.
most. Other than the halo-halo being $11, and then the bangos being kind of expensive too, and the sinigang also being kind of expensive, but in terms of...
you also get like the vat of soup, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, for the most part, we would say that this is a really good place, and you can definitely get a variety of dishes for a decent price, and they'll all taste pretty good. Now, moving on to our silver second position, at the very top of the A tier, we have the big boy, George's Greek Village. Humongous portions and very good food for 95% of the things that we ordered. It was incredible. I would liken it to Coppola's in terms of how much food they serve and how great that experience was. It's just all around an amazing place. All the appetizers were amazing, like the fresh made tatsiki, the fresh spanakopita, the saganaki flambéed right in front of us. That was all really nice. Then we got free salad, then we got free bread, and then we got really good rice. That rice was incredible, and I wish I had the recipe, honestly, because it's so good.
However, my calamari was stinky to say the least. It felt like someone ordered my dish and then it sat there for 15 minutes, and then I ordered that dish, and in the back everyone was like, oh my gosh, there's another calamari. This lady left. We'll just give him this one. And then I was served that. The rice was still good, but the calamari was just chewy. It was mid. Like, I can't get into details how mid that was, but everything else made up for it.
Like, as far as my dish was concerned, it was amazing. And honestly, everything at George's hit the mark for me. So it was like a bit of a debate. Like, that calamari was advertised as being one of their best dishes. So how much will we let that affect it? And ultimately we decided that everything else is just so fantastic. We can kind of let this go. It's not like there's one bright spot. There are so many bright spots, and this just happens to be its Achilles heel, you know, if you want to get into Greek mythology.
I would be very much willing to eat the bad calamari if I got to have more baklava. So clearly it wasn't that bad.
With that, we'll leave it at the very top of our A tier at number 2. That wraps up our A tier. And so, like last time, we have one singular restaurant that belongs in our S tier, and for very good reason, which we'll get into. Just like with Soban last time, this happens to be another family-owned restaurant. So without further ado, at our number 1 spot, the sole member of the S tier and the favorite restaurant of the entire season, we have Lila's Shawarma. Absolutely incredible place. What they're known for, shawarma, was incredible in every respect, honestly.
There was nothing that I wouldn't have gone back for. There was something I was like, ooh, next time I would try this instead, or I wouldn't have this. I would go back and have the exact same order over and over and over and over and over again.
They're a shawarma place, and they had very, very good shawarma that absolutely blows every other shawarma place out of the water. Specifically, the garlic sauce is something that has stuck with me as one of the best things I've ever tasted, and very, very different from the ones you're served at those other places.
Yeah.
And so you might be wondering, oh, okay, well, if Sunshine Eats isn't high enough because you only had a couple dishes, then how can you say this one shawarma is ranked above that? And it all comes down to this place being a shawarma place. So they serve shawarma. So if the shawarma is good, that's all the evidence we need to say this is a good place. Whereas Jamaican food isn't just jerk chicken and curry goat.
Yeah.
So
we
that's
do
the
have more than that, just so you know.
So with Lila's being incredible all around and just being a family-owned restaurant, which kind of is a somewhat of a bias for us, we want to support them, but we honestly also think that they deserve that support because they offer an experience that others simply cannot provide. And so I think if you really want fantastic shawarma, there is no other place in that area that will do it as well as they do, and also is really close to Brock, so that's an added bonus.
Yeah, if you're at Brock, skip Osmos, skip Colby's, go to Lila's.
Yes, skip Colby's, correct, yep. So that wraps up our list. We covered all 24 places now. So hopefully you know where you should be eating the next time you want to go dine out at some place in St. Catharines. We want to thank you for joining us for the past 8 months in which we've been filming this series. It's crazy. It's been a long time. We put a lot of effort into this and it was fun. A lot of money, but it was fun.
I feel like this was a really fun adventure to go on with Jonah. I kind of got wrapped into it randomly on a Discord message. And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. Wouldn't have been anyone else would have rather done this with. I'm sad to see this end, but who knows? Maybe we might bring it to Toronto.
Or Japan.
Ooh.
Foreshadowing, foreshadowing, foreshadowing. It definitely was a very fun series. We got to try out so many different things. It was like a unique experience that I won't forget anytime soon. With that being said, we'd like to thank you so much for following us for the past couple months and for watching all these different videos.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Indeed. Until our next adventure. Bye. See you. Hello. Goodbye.
Grub before grad.
Indeed. Grub before grad. Cue the montage.